Hey guys, this is Justin. Hello and welcome to another video. If I sound excited today, it's because I am, because we just got another new teaser for the Book of Boba Fett, second day in a row. It's got some really awesome details that I spotted immediately that I haven't seen a whole lot of discussion about online. So today I'm going to take some time, break down today's teaser and yesterday's teaser. There's a ton of new content in there, and we're just going to have a general discussion about everything that you may have missed, plus my thoughts about the show. Before we begin though, we do have a sponsor today, so let's step right into that. Today's video is brought to you by Vessi. Listen, if you're in North America like I am, you're probably starting to deal with some wet weather, and it's only going to get worse. Vessi offers a comfortable, stylish, everyday sneaker that you can wear even in winter. Vessi sneakers are waterproof and snowproof, not resistant. You can put these things in water and you will not get wet. I was sent 3 pairs of sneakers before doing this sponsorship, and my favorite by far is the men's Weekend in Oak Brown. These things are extremely comfortable and appropriate for pretty much any situation, whether going for a walk outside or going to an event where you want to look nice. They're also sustainably made and very easy to clean. You can just throw them in the washer. What's more, the shoe is made with a Dymatex dual climate knit, which keeps you cool in the summer and warm in the winter. I didn't expect to love this shoe so much, but I've been wearing it every day and can genuinely recommend it for you guys. Save yourself wet socks and try Vessi now by going to the link down below. You can also get $25 off your order by using code ECKHARTS. There's also free shipping available to Canada, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Taiwan, Korea, and Singapore. Alright, so let's start first with an examination of today's teaser, which was called The Message, and of course, it was all about Boba Fett's message to not only Tatooine, but presumably the underworld at large, that he is stepping in to fill the very large power vacuum left by Jabba's demise, and that things will be a little bit different. But I want to start my look at this brief teaser with one scene in particular. Now, for some of you, this probably means nothing, but if you grew up playing Shadows of the Empire like I did, you'll recognize that these are swoop bikes. Swoops are essentially just a form of speeder bike. I personally think about them being less for pure speed and scouting than all-around utility. These are sort of like the gang bikes or the Harleys of the Star Wars world. Why this is exciting is because these very clearly match, to a degree that I don't think we've seen before, the swoop bikes present in Shadows of the Empire. So I see this as a really nice callback to Star Wars Legends. What's more, in Shadows of the Empire, when you're visiting Tatooine, you're being attacked by, it's either Jizz's or Giz's gang, which was a swoop gang ran by Jabba the Hutt. So what's going on in this scene? Well, it's my guess, in fact, that these may be Boba Fett's henchmen. They may have been Jabba's former gang who are now serving the new boss. There is a man without a helmet in front. He's got a bald head. That could be Boba Fett. It could be somebody else. Either way, this is very interesting, and I'm curious to see whether they make the direct connection to Star Wars Legends, or if this is a mere illusion. But overall, I just love the design. I hope we get to see them run through Beggar's Canyon. That's a highlight of the video game. You actually got to save Luke Skywalker from the swoop bike gang. They're rushing to Obi-Wan's place. But anyway, let's move on. Going through the trailer chronologically, we are getting a bit of an idea of Boba Fett's backstory here and how he survived. We see a shot that looks like this may be a part of him as the Tusken Raiders. Then the next scene is him in some sort of back-to-bath. Now, a lot of people are saying, how did the Tuskens have a back-to-bath? Well, no, that's not really what I think is going on. In the first full-length trailer, we saw him looking like he was getting out of a bath, and his face does seem to be less, well, mangled than it was in The Mandalorian. So it's my guess that he's been taking some healing measures between the end of The Mandalorian Season 2 and now. Kind of interesting, because in Star Wars Legends, one of the major things that Boba Fett was dealing with after surviving the Sarlacc was serious illness. By the time of like Legacy of the Force, his body was fully degrading, and he actually had to return to Kamino to see if there was any way that he could reverse the damage that was done to him. Now, I'm not saying that that will necessarily be something that's going on in the show, but it is a potential plot point, I think, to remember. One of the next interesting scenes is we see Boba Fett come out. He's now gotten his old blaster back. I don't think he had that during The Mandalorian. We also see Fennec Shand with a prisoner in tow. I was kind of wondering whether this may be one of the members of the swoop bike that we showed earlier. That scene actually comes later in the teaser itself. I don't think it is. I do find it interesting, though, that Boba Fett is talking about how he's going to be different than Jabba while this is happening. Maybe this is where he shows mercy to someone, or maybe the opposite. He does, however, say that Jabba ruled with fear and that he will be ruling with respect, so maybe this is where he lets a rival survive. That's pretty much all from that teaser I wanted to look at. Now let's cover Rain, and this one I actually loved. I'm personally, as I think some of you know, a huge fan of the planet Tatooine. I don't think it needs to be in everything, but especially the city and the underworld and the parts of the planet that aren't just sand dunes, I find really interesting, and this trailer was chock full of that. Notably, at the beginning here, we can see Fennec leading the same prisoner from the second teaser into the palace. Maybe he has the door codes or something. He was the dude voicing what everyone thought was a robot at the beginning of episode 6.
Goodness gracious me.
We also see people in his same uniform running throughout this city, and by the way, I've actually speculated that this is Bestine. Now, Bestine in Legends was the capital of Tatooine. As I discussed in a prior video, there was actually some concept art of Mos Espa that showed it looking like this, built into a crater with spires reaching out, but we saw what Mos Espa looked like in the prequel trilogy. It's definitely not that. So for a major city this size, I think Bestine is probably the most obvious answer. But anyway, these same guys are running. Presumably the show begins with Boba Fett having to capture one of these individuals. Maybe they help him into Jabba's palace. Maybe that's the tool they need to confront Bib Fortuna in the first place, or maybe this is just them returning to the castle with somebody who stole something from them, or just otherwise an enemy. Either way, I love the city shots, and there's a nice detail here that we see again in just a second. We have this hangar bay underneath Jabba's palace, and we see that this is where Boba Fett is parking his ship. A lot of people pointed out that this was actually a location in Star Wars Battlefront, which is awesome. Now, I don't know if that actually invented the idea of there being a sort of hangar under Jabba's palace. I would assume that it was probably from some Return of the Jedi concept art, but either way, really nice attention to detail, and it's very closely mirroring what we see in the game. A lot of respect, I think, given, which is nice. There's not a lot of times where something that first appeared in a game then makes its way to a movie or TV show, so I'll take that 10 times out of 10. We get a different view from this big meeting that Boba Fett is having as well. Somebody made a joke that Boba Fett's the kind of guy to host all of his enemies in one place and threaten them, but also spend all day baking a cake, which does seem true to me. But I also noticed in the background that we have a droid that looks very much like 8D8, who was one of the torture droids from Jabba's palace. I remember that face everywhere because 8D8 absolutely terrorized not only the droids of Jabba's palace, but also me as a child. I think most likely this will end up being not only the same model droid, but the same droid itself. Boba Fett probably reactivated it or found it in some closet or whatever within Jabba's palace. I do note that his chest markings are the exact same. So yeah, that's most likely the same droid. There's probably more that can be gleaned from this scene, but we talked about that in the full trailer, and aside from Boba Fett firing his wrist rockets, there's not really much else that I want to mention for these two teasers. Either way though, despite being so short and not having that much in the way of plot, just seeing how this was filmed, seeing how they put all the detail into the world makes me really in love and excited with this show. Like, I think this is going to surprise people about how good it is. We're going to see Boba Fett start from kind of the bottom, I guess, and build a criminal empire that could last a very long time. And I think eventually this show will probably move past Tatooine, but I hope it doesn't move too far beyond that for the first season. Either way, we're about a month away from launch. What are you guys thinking? Are you excited? Are you kind of meh? Let me know all of that and more down below. Until next time though, guys, have a good one, be safe, and may the Force be with you.